Welcome to the world of scale modeling with Mike Ashe, where techniques, tips, and creativity come alive with dozens of tutorials, projects, tape-up reviews, and picture references to help you build better scale models and enjoy our wonderful hobby.
Hey everybody. Back in the late 1980s, the old Monogram Company came out with a snap-type version of the three fighting men statute for the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. And over the years, it's been put out by different companies. I found this one at an old swap meet, and it was produced by Lindbergh. The snap-tights didn't work very well. The plastic was kind of brittle, and it left some really bad seams. But I'm going to show you the techniques that I use to produce this beautiful replica of this three fighting men statue. And for all of us Vietnam era veterans, this statue has special meaning. So let's get started, and then we'll talk about it a little bit on the back side. The kit's very simple to build, but it doesn't go together very well. So here are some of the things that I did to make it fit better. It's supposed to be a snap together, but the snaps don't work very well. So the first thing I did was I cut off all of the pins on all of the parts in order to get a much tighter fit. And then following my typical gluing techniques, what I did was I taped the parts together very, very tightly, and then I ran a bead of super glue along their seam lines and then carefully scraped it and sanded it smooth. In some places I had to use additional evergreen strip stock to fill in some gaps here and here. And on two of the other statutes, I had to put some strip stock on the inside of the legs here, which was really kind of hard to get to, but if you take your time, you can actually get in there and scrape it smooth. So the other thing I did was to give these individual statues, some weight. I filled them with clay. This clay here, just this standard clay, it's modeling clay, and I smushed it in there, sliced it, and then just kind of smushed it in there, and it worked out real well. So it gave each of the statues a little bit of weight to them. On this statue, one of the problems you're going to have is this piece doesn't fit together very well onto the forward part of the hand, so it took several layers of super glue, scraping and sanding to get it smooth to remove the seam. I didn't do any work on the seam on the top of this particular one's head because the hat fits right over the top and it hides the seams. So you only have to work on the seams right up to the top of the ear on this particular statue. On this one, I've glued on the mess kit and the double canteens, and then I will glue on his arm, or left arm, and then the M60 machine gun, which sits over his shoulder this way. So that's this one. This second statue here, same thing. You can see where the seam is, and the plastic that they used here is brittle, but it responds very well to super glue. And so the seam looks very, very good. And of course I use silver paint on all my seam work in order to check everything, and it took 3 or 4 coats of super glue to kind of get all of these seams closed up real well. On this particular statute, there was a section missing on the bottom. I've built this in the late 80s, and I don't recall this being a problem, but it was a problem on this kit. And I don't know if it was an injection mold problem or something else, but I had to fill in this area here with some plastic pieces and super glue and then sand it smooth. And I had to put some thin strips of evergreen strip stock on the inside area on this side, super glue it into place, and then scrape and sand it smooth. Again, a little bit of putty on the inside to give it some weight. This third statue, this one actually fit together the best of the three, and I've got his 45 caliber pistol and the 2 double canteens fit on this one. So this one just needs This one just needs his arms glued on. So the one thing you'll find, and this was a problem when it originally came out by Monogram, the tip of the M16 was bent, and if you try to bend it back in place, it just snaps off because, as I said, the plastic is brittle. So what I did was I took off the flash suppressor and then just added a piece of brass rod to it in order to fix this problem. And again, the arms go together fairly well. They're two-part pieces, and there were snap clips in here that I cut off so that I could just glue the arms into place. And same thing with this one. Around the back side of the wrist where the back part of the part fits together, takes a little bit of work, took several applications of super glue, but here again it came out pretty good. Same thing with this arm, right here on the forward part of his wrist on the inside, again several applications of super glue, and this one fit together the best of them, but it's still, you can just barely see the super glue line right here. What I did with the base was I filled it with that clay, and then glued it down to a piece of .030 plastic sheet. I should have used .040, and then carefully cut it out and sanded it smooth. So what I'm going to do is when I'm done gluing the arms on the individual statues, I'm going to go ahead and airbrush them, put a little tape on the bottom here so that they will, I can glue them on the base, and then I'll glue them on the base, and then when I'm done with that, then I'll go ahead and airbrush the base, of course the same bronze color. So once I get the arms glued on, we'll go back over this again, and I'll show you what each of the statues looks like with the arms glued on, and then we'll go ahead and airbrush them, and I'll show you what they look like airbrushed and then glued to the base. So I got the arms glued on this guy. The arms went on fairly well without too much trouble. On this guy, this arm did not fit well at all, and this one I had problems with too. So you need to, I used Tester's glue to kind of set it in place, and then I inserted some super glue under here, and that seemed to help. And I couldn't do it here because of the positioning, so I had to get it from the top. So that's that one, and it's ready. The third guy was a little more of a challenge because I had to position all three of them to make sure that this arm, his left arm, was resting up against the back of this guy. So it kind of goes like this, right like that. And so, and then lastly I did the 60 caliber, the M60 machine gun. So came out pretty good. I think how I'm going to airbrush them is I will hold it here and go ahead and airbrush as much as I can, and then I will set it in here. I won't airbrush from here on down so that I can work with it and get it set up here, and this is where it'll dry. I can do the same with all three, and then once I get it all three done the way I want them, I can go ahead and glue them down and then airbrush from about the knees on down in the base.
I used a mixture of enamel copper and enamel gold as an undercoat, and then what I did was I diluted some burnt umber and gave the model a complete coat of burnt umber. It came out pretty good. It's not as bronzy as I like, but it looks pretty good. All of us who serve, whether in the Air Force, the Army, or like me, a former Marine, we can see ourselves in that statute, and that's what gives it such special meaning. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed the tips and techniques that I used to fix some of the flaws on this kit and produced a really nice replica. What I really like is that even the flak vest on this Statute looks just like the flak vests that we used to wear. And how do I remember that? I still have my flak vest. And it's pretty heavy, and as I've gotten older, it's gotten heavier. The only other thing I can suggest to you is the burnt umber color that I used over the copper undercolor. If I had diluted it just a little bit more, it would have shown more of the copper color on some of the highlighted areas of the model, but it still came out pretty good. And with that, have a great evening and happy scale modeling. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. And when you get the chance, visit our website at www.mikeashley.com, where you're going to find dozens of free PDF downloads, including tutorials, picture references, model galleries, projects, and my 5 original scale modeling books. Thanks to Ben Sound and Videvo for the royalty-free music, and happy scale modeling.